Who is the best fictional family? Are they live action or animated? And who of them would win in a fight? Today, that is exactly what I will be discussing and ranking. I hope you enjoy and subscribe if you like to see this, because I do a lot of videos like this. Now let's get started.
You want a piece of me? You got it!
This is a surprise to absolutely no one who has ever seen the show before, because Frank, George, and Estelle are famously unathletic, not in great health, and prone to silly injuries. There is not a single other family on this list that would come close to losing to them, and it would be rough.
The burger.
I don't want to eat it, Bobby.
Eat it!
I don't want to eat.
Realistically, this family isn't that much better than the Costanzas when it comes to being in a fight. A big problem is that most of them are children, and specifically, not particularly tough children. As far as I can tell, Bob and Linda would do okay in a fight, but I don't know if I've ever seen any proof that they would be really good in a fight. And like I said, the rest are children. They mainly get the leg up on the Costanzas for just being younger and in better shape than them.
And up next to her before she says, "Do the try!"
So there are a few big pros and cons with this family. Their main pro is that they're dogs, and at the end of the day, fighting a pack of dogs, animated or otherwise, just would not be ideal. But their big con is that I don't know if they're angry enough to be able to do anything in a fight. They come from a show where they are all very kid-friendly, so we never get to see them fight or do anything like that. So I really have no proof that would be needed to put them any higher. So that's the biggest reason they're this low on this list.
No more bouncing that ball!
I think Hank, canonically, is pretty tough and has kicked some ass in his day, and Bobby has taken self-defense classes, but other than that, they don't have a ton going for them. As far as the show has shown, neither Peggy or Luann would really be that helpful in a fight, so they rely mostly on Hank to do all the fighting, and because of that, they are in the bottom 25% of this list.
Oh geez, it looks like two parents are fighting.
While we don't see a ton of fighting from them throughout the show, you do get to see some. Shelly is really brutal while fighting and bullying Stan. Stan has gotten into some scraps, but the main reason they rank higher than the other four is Randy Marsh himself. The very best episode that shows this is The Losing Edge, where Randy gets drunk at Stan's baseball games and fights with other drunk dads. And his biggest challenge at the very end is a huge undefeated dad who calls himself Bat Dad. Him beating Bat Dad in the end is the best showing of the Marsh's ability to beat up all the families under them. So the biggest reason that they have the leg up on the Marsh family is that they are the first family on this list to have two adult but not elderly men on their team. Not only that, but I can absolutely see both Skylar and Marie being incredibly scrappy fighters doing whatever it takes to win. And Hank is a tough DEA agent, and Walter is a broken man who would fight incredibly dirty to win. If this team could work together, they'd be even better. The Griffins have a good amount of fighting experience. They fight each other almost every single episode. Canonically, Lois is a great fighter. Brian is a cartoon dog that is much more willing to bite compared to the healers. Stewie is constantly brutal, and there's a running bit of the fantastical fight that Peter has with the evil chicken. They love to fight and live to fight. A lot of this fight would depend on how Stewie is feeling that day, because sometimes he comes with crazy weapons and sometimes he's just more chill.
I want to rip your... What?
Truly the biggest thing they have going for them are their crazy numbers. Altogether, including Joe, they have 12 people on their team. I believe this is the largest group of all the teams, if I remember correctly. The big drawback for them is that none of them particularly stand out as tough fighters. If I were to guess, their best fighters are Gloria, Cam, and maybe Phil, maybe Jay. If you could get Phil mad at least. But, like I said, the biggest reason they are this high up on the list is because they have a bunch of people on their team, and numbers definitely help. Time and time again, this family goes crazy in a fight. From Jamie the baby all the way up to Hal and Lois, they all fight and they all fight dirty. They each bring their own talents too. Lois is fueled by rage. Hal and Francis are grown men that are pretty good fighters. Reese is brutal and follows commands to a T, which was shown when he was in the army. And Malcolm is so smart to come up with strategies. And lastly, Dewey and Jamie just have the younger brother bit where they will fight dirty. They will bite ankles. They will do whatever it takes to win. And that is so important to this team. All in all, I think they would do really, really well.
Tell me what you told Mike.
This family is basically the adult version of the Malcolm in the Middle family I just talked about. They actively get in real fights with real stakes, and there are a ton of Gallaghers. These are Chicago tough kids who have fought for anything they've ever had, and they would do everything in their power to win. You think the Wilkersons fight dirty? Wait until one of the Gallaghers hits you over the head with a bottle. From here on out on this list, there is a divide between the top half with weapons, powers, and crazy tech, and the lower numbers that didn't have any of these things. These four are at the bottom of the divide, so they're the worst of this group. They have swords, a bow and arrow, knives. They've got some good stuff, but they're not quite up to par with some of the others. But specifically, Susan is their best fighter, in my opinion. Throughout the series, she's very good with her bow, and having Edmund and Peter's sword skills and Lucy going around healing, they would do pretty well in a fight with any family below them in this ranking. Now, this family is always down for a fight. They come equipped with swords, bows, and knives, and I would say their best fighters are probably Ned, Arya, and Jon Snow. Ned was known as a fantastic sword fighter back in the day, and it took a lot of people to eventually beat him. Jon is very similar to his adopted dad, but I'd say even better, and he's younger, which also helps. But the best one on their team would be Arya. She is an assassin and one of the best fighters and killers in the entire show. And even more, they have Bran, who is basically omnipotent by the end of the show. And they have direwolves, which is just crazy. This team would do really, really well. So this is the first family that actually has superpowers on this list, unless you include Bran. But they basically have their own version of Luke Cage, Poison Ivy, and Storm. Not only that, they have Antonio, who talks to and gets help from animals, Camillo, who can shapeshift, Maria, who could heal them throughout the battle, and Dolores and Bruno, who could make sure they don't get ambushed. All in all, this family would do pretty dang well against most of these fighters. These guys were made for the fight. It's in their name. They have Leonardo, who fights with 2 katanas and leads the brothers. Raphael, who fights with twin sais and is an aggressive brawler. Donatello, who fights with a bow staff and is incredibly smart. And Michelangelo, who fights with nunchucks and is just a chill dude. They're all at the top of their craft with their said weapons too. But their best fighter on their squad is their teacher and adoptive dad, Splinter. Though he usually fights with a wooden cane, he's also proficient with many different martial arts. This is a great squad and a really, really hard family to beat. Okay, I know this will be controversial because there's a bunch of fanboys that would probably put Batman at the very top of every list, but I'm realistic. There is no plot armor here, and he gets no prep time. The members of this family being counted for this are Batman, obviously, Damian Wayne, Robin, well, his version of Robin, Nightwing, Jason Todd Robin, Batgirl, Tim Drake Robin, Ace the Crime Dog, and of course Alfred. This team would be an absolute powerhouse without powers. Between the brains and pure brawn, they would easily take out every other team on this list below them. Their biggest downfall is their lack of powers, and further on this list, they just get even better, so I can't rank them higher. They are amazing, but limited by their humanity, other than Ace, the crime dog. So just looking at their abilities first, they are pretty great. Bob, Mr. Incredible, is super strong and very durable. Helen can stretch and change her body in any way she wants, and she's also pretty durable. Violet can turn invisible and create force fields, and Dash can run at speeds around 200 miles per hour. But then there's Jack Jack, who has powers that include super strength, laser eyes, flying, mimicry, fire powers, and so many more. This family would do unbelievably well in this fight, and I am not surprised that they were put into the top 5.
You said.
One word, magic. Having their wands and the abilities to do magic in the fight would be astronomically helpful for this family. For example, let's just say Mr. Incredible is charging at them. They could just levitate him off the ground and he becomes useless. And that is someone ranked just below their family. Also, it helps that there are a ton of Weasleys and they're all pretty great wizards. Just in the fight against the Death Eaters at the Battle of Hogwarts, they only lost one member of their family, R.I.P. Fred. And they're all in the most dangerous parts of the battle. The Weasleys would be pretty amazing in this fight, and they would represent the wizarding world really well.
I think they're asking for a hiney whooping.
Each of these 3 little girls could individually take out everyone else below them ranked. They have super strength, super speed, flight, enhanced senses, heat vision, incredible durability, and so many more powers. They are constantly fighting monsters that are about the size of buildings and coming out without a scratch on them. They are like 3 little less powerful Supermen without the easy kryptonite weakness. But because of their powers, they easily rank 3rd on this list. This group of mostly Jedi are unbelievably powerful. Their main fighters for the team would be Luke, Anakin, and Ben. And as far as I'm concerned, they're 3 of the 5 or 10 strongest Jedi we've ever seen in Star Wars movies. Their force feats are legendary, ranging from Luke projecting himself across the universe to Anakin defeating both Count Dooku and Emperor Palpatine. And not only talking about the Force, they also have some of the coolest and strongest weapons out there with the lightsabers. This family would easily take the top spot if it weren't for one man that is part of the number 1 family. I really could not put any other family at number 1 once I decided that the Smiths were going to be part of this ranking. Rick Sanchez is the smartest person in the universe, and he has tech and know-how to take out every single person on this list. Not only that, but he's fought and defeated similar characters as the ones below him on the list, and he always wins. He could just jump into a portal and destroy the universe that the fight is in. He is definitely the GOAT of this particular ranking, and I don't see anyone else even coming close to defeating Rick. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and feel free to subscribe if you did. Comment below what you think of the list and what changes you would have made. And if there's any family you think should be on here instead of another, just comment it below and I might switch it up. But otherwise, have a fantastic day, and thank you for watching.